She was only picking up shell casings. Still, a British sniper dared her to hit 4,000 meters. What happened next turned a quiet observer into a legend the battlefield would never forget. Asterisk, the battlefield was quiet in its own way. Not silence, not peace, but a stillness between blasts, like the world was holding its breath. Dust rolled across the broken ground, carrying the burnt smell of gunpowder. Mia Watson crouched low, her hands brushing through scattered brass, spent shell casings. To others, trash. To her, stories. Each casing bore dents, scratches, grooves, signatures of force and distance. She turned one in her hand, eyes sharp, jotting notes in a battered notebook. Numbers, angles, sketches. Her curiosity was different. Soldiers fought, Mia observed. A broken watch dangled from her wrist. Stopped at 11:42, the moment a mortar landed near her village months ago. She never fixed it. To her, time had broken that day. Around her, men joked, cursed, and died. She wrote. It gave her purpose. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was 17, and yet the battlefield felt like her classroom. Still collecting junk, girl, a passing soldier muttered. He didn't wait for her reply. She didn't mind. Let them laugh. She was learning patterns they couldn't see. By noon, she had arranged the casings into rows, like a puzzle no one else tried to solve. A volunteer named Thomas approached, shaking his head. Mia, you'll get yourself killed out here. She only answered softly, not until I understand. When dusk fell, she gathered her casings in a sack, pressed her notebook tight against her chest, and walked back along the dusty road to camp. Soldiers ignored her. She liked it that way. The more invisible she was, the more she could watch. But that night, as she flipped through her pages, she noticed something unusual. A sequence of shells that didn't match her calculations. Her pencil hovered, a variable she hadn't considered. Something hidden. Her heart quickened. It wasn't just data anymore. The battlefield had whispered a challenge. And in the silence of her tent, Mia realized she wasn't the only one observing. Someone else was watching her, who was watching her in the shadows. Asterisk, at dawn, Mia returned to the ridge. The ground was scarred, smoke hanging low like a heavy curtain. She crouched again, measuring casings, whispering numbers to herself. That's when she noticed him. A tall figure moving with quiet confidence, as if the war bent around his presence. British uniform. A sniper rifle slung across his shoulder like it weighed nothing. Soldiers whispered his name, though Mia couldn't catch it. They said he had made impossible shots, feats spoken like myth. She watched him from the corner of her eye, fascinated by the calm precision in every step. The man's gaze finally settled on her. He approached. For a moment, Mia froze, clutching her notebook like a shield. I hear you've been busy, he said, his accent crisp. I just observe, she murmured. Observing is good, he said, leaning casually against a wall. But understanding is better. His eyes glinted. Think you can hit a target at 4,000 meters? The words struck her like shrapnel. She blinked. I've never tried. He smiled faintly. Then perhaps it's time. Her pulse pounded. 4,000 meters. The distance sounded unreal. Her fingers tightened around the broken watch. Time had stopped once. Maybe this was a chance to restart it. That night, Mia sat under a lantern, her notebook open, numbers racing faster than her pencil. She calculated angles, wind drift, curvature of the earth. Her empty wallet lay beside her, a reminder of what she had lost: family, home, certainty. Now, all she had left was knowledge. But as she closed the notebook, she realized the dare wasn't just a challenge. It was a door, and stepping through could change everything. Would she accept the sniper's impossible dare? Asterisk, Mia didn't answer right away. She prepared in silence. Each morning, before the camp stirred, she slipped away to a cratered ridge. There, with only dust and debris for company. She began her secret training. She tested distances with stones, flinging them and calculating arcs. She measured wind by watching smoke drift. She marked spots across the valley and drew diagrams in her notebook. Every variable mattered: elevation, humidity, heat, shimmer rising from the scorched earth. She wrote them all down, turning chaos into equations. Her hands blistered from handling rifles she borrowed in secret. Her eyes burned from staring through cheap scopes. But she kept going. The dusty road she walked each night back to camp became symbolic, each step heavy with exhaustion, yet lined with determination. Soldiers mocked her less now. Some whispered she might be onto something. One afternoon, the British sniper appeared again, watching from a distance. He said nothing, only observed. That silence was heavier than words. By the third week, Mia could predict landing points of shells before they struck. Her notes grew thicker, each page a labyrinth of numbers. But one evening, as she lined up her sight on a distant ridge, the wind shifted sharply. The shot she fired missed by meters. Her chest tightened. She almost cried. Then she looked at the broken watch on her wrist. She remembered. Precision wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence. She wiped her eyes, recalculated, and tried again. The shot struck closer. Not perfect, but better. What would happen when she faced her first real test under the sniper's eyes? The day arrived without warning. Mia, the British sniper said, nodding toward a barren stretch of land. A target was set, faint against the horizon. Show me. Her chest tightened. Soldiers gathered behind, murmuring. Some skeptical, some curious. The pressure was suffocating. She lay prone, rifle steady. She checked her rangefinder, her notes. She exhaled, calculated wind drift, adjusted for elevation. She fired. The crack rang out. Soldiers held their breath. The bullet struck close, but not center. A miss. Heat rushed to her cheeks. But the sniper only said, "Not bad. Adjust." She recalculated. Fired again. Closer. Soldiers whispered. Again. Closer still. Sweat rolled down her neck. Her notebook lay open beside her, pages fluttering in the wind. Finally, after hours of trial and error, she steadied her breath, adjusted the scope one last time, and pulled the trigger. The bullet soared across the valley like a silver thread. It hit dead center. A hush fell. Soldiers gasped. The sniper's lips twitched into the faintest smile. Well done. Mia's heart thundered. Pride surged. But as the crowd whispered her name, she realized this was only the beginning, because if today was trial, tomorrow would be the real test. Whispers spread through camp. The girl with the notebook, the one who hit the impossible shot. Mia ignored them. She wasn't after recognition. She wanted mastery. Every dawn, she returned to the ridge. She tested bullets of different weight, powder charges, new positions. She wrote until her fingers cramped. She learned to read the battlefield like a book. Heat shimmer, bending sight, wind carving invisible rivers through the valley. Even the angle of sunlight became a factor. The British sniper visited often now, sometimes correcting her grip, sometimes only watching. His silence was approval. Then came the breakthrough. A target no one had touched before, hidden behind debris at extreme range. She calculated. She fired. The bullet struck dead center. Soldiers erupted in disbelief. Even the sniper nodded with rare respect. Remarkable. That night, Mia sat by lantern light, flipping through her thick notebook. Her empty wallet lay open beside it, reminding her of loss. But the casings in her sack, the calculations in her notes, felt like wealth no coin could buy. She closed her eyes, knowing the ultimate test was coming. The 4,000-meter dare. The morning was still. The air tasted of dust and anticipation. Soldiers gathered quietly. Far across the valley, A small target shimmered in the haze. 4,000 meters. Almost invisible. Mia lay prone, her rifle steady, her notebook at her side. She touched the broken watch, feeling its frozen time. She whispered to herself, "Not luck, understanding." The sniper stood behind her, silent eyes sharp. She measured, calculated, adjusted. Her breathing slowed. The world narrowed to numbers, wind, distance, and faith. She pressed the trigger. The crack echoed. The bullet arced across the valley, vanishing into the haze. Seconds stretched into eternity. Then a faint, unmistakable impact. Dead center. Gasps rippled through the ranks. Even the sniper whispered, "Extraordinary." Mia's chest rose, her eyes burning with pride. The impossible was real, but as she packed her notebook and walked the dusty road back to camp, she knew one truth. This was not an ending. It was only the beginning of a journey where every horizon was another dare. What lay beyond the battlefield for Mia Watson? The morning broke pale and strange, as if the sky itself held its breath. A cold wind carried dust across the ridge, where Mia Watson lay flat against the ground. Her rifle stretched before her like a promise. The earth was scarred, the valley beyond nothing but craters, collapsed stone, and twisted metal. Yet at the far edge, nearly lost to haze, a tiny marker waited, 4,000 meters. Almost beyond sight, almost beyond belief. Soldiers had gathered in the shadows of broken walls, whispering. No one wanted to break the fragile silence. The British sniper stood alone, his rifle at rest, his eyes steady on her. He had trained her without training her, tested her without pity, and now simply watched. It was no longer his dare. It was hers. Mia's broken watch hung loose at her wrist, its glass cracked, its hands forever frozen at 11:42. She pressed her thumb against it, a small ritual. The watch reminded her of everything she had lost, but also of how far she had come.